The afternoon sun, usually a benevolent golden eye over the fields of wheat, cast long, unsettling shadows as the village elder rang the alarm bell. It was a sound known too well, a frantic clang that tore through the peaceful hum of daily life. From the forest's edge, a chilling horn blast answered, followed by the guttural war cries of pillagers. The quiet farmer, a sturdy villager with a perpetually worried brow, clutched his small, iron hoe, a shallow gasp of fear. Chaos erupted. Arrows, sharp and plentiful, whistled through the air, felling innocent sheep and, tragically, a few less fortunate villagers. The farmer saw his neighbor, the butcher, fall, a cruel bolt piercing his chest. Ravagers, hulking beasts of pure malice, charge, their roars shaking the very earth. The farmer, usually slow and deliberate, found a primal urgency ignite within him. He didn't run to fight. He ran to hide. His stout legs churned, carrying him past burning hay bales and the terrified shrieks of his kin. He dove into the dense undergrowth at the back of his pumpkin patch, burrowing deep beneath thorny berry bushes, pulling a thick layer of leaves over his head. He could feel the thudding of the ravagers' hooves, the shouts of the pillagers, the agonizing cries of his people. He pressed himself further into the earth, his broad nose buried in the damp soil, his a silent, trembling prayer. The sounds of destruction were a symphony of terror that went on and on, then slowly, agonizingly, began to fade. The smell of smoke lingered, thick and acrid. He waited. He waited until the moon was high, until the only sound was a distant, eerie moan of a zombie. Cautiously, the farmer pushed aside the leaves. The village was a nightmare rendered real, houses gutted, fields trampled, the beloved central well shattered. No light shone from any window, no gentle echoed in the night air. He was alone, utterly, terribly alone. His now was a profound, echoing emptiness. With a heavy heart and trembling hands, he began to walk, not knowing where, only knowing he could not stay. His first days were a blur of terror and hunger. He stumbled through dark forests, the rustle of unseen creatures making his heart pound. He ate sweet berries from bushes, their thorns tearing at his thick robes. He drank from cold streams, cupping the water with his calloused hands. At night, he shivered in makeshift shelters beneath thick oak trees, listening to the groans of zombies and the hiss of spiders. He narrowly avoided a creeper, its silent approach and sudden detonation sending him sprawling, covered in dirt and ringing ears. He fled, his a panicked gasp of pure adrenaline. He was not a fighter. He was a farmer, a builder of walls, a keeper of emeralds, but the wilderness demanded more. One afternoon, he came across a strange sight, an abandoned player's camp, a small dirt hut, a scorched patch of ground, and scattered across it a few discarded items, a wooden pickaxe half broken, a rough wooden sword, and a single glowing torch, still flickering faintly, stuck into the dirt. Curiosity, sparked by desperation, nudged him forward. He picked up the wooden pickaxe. It felt alien in his hands, not like the familiar weight of his hoe. He looked at the nearby stone wall of a small cliff face. He had seen players swing these. With clumsy mimicry, he brought the pickaxe down. Whack! A small chunk of cobblestone broke free. He stared at it, a spark of something new igniting in his wide, dark eyes. His was a low rumble of discovery. He swung again, and again. He was not mining for ore. He was mining for understanding, for a way to survive. He spent the next weeks exploring, learning. He found a cave, dark and foreboding, but it offered shelter. He learned to break trees for wood, not with an axe, but by punching them with his broad hands, just as he'd seen players do. He found coal, then iron ore. He didn't know how to smelt, but he found an abandoned furnace. still hot from a forgotten fire, and with cautious experimentation, he watched the ore transform. He hammered at the hot metal with a stone, crudely shaping it into a blunt blade, a shield, a pickaxe stronger than wood. He was not a craftsman, but a mimic, driven by an instinct he didn't know he possessed. His clothes were tattered, his skin toughened by sun and wind, his once soft hands now rough with calluses and minor scars. He was leaner, quicker. His was no longer just fear, but determination, observation, and sometimes a quiet sense of triumph. He built himself a small, secure dugout in a remote hillside, a place where no light could escape, no sound could carry. He grew small patches of wheat and carrots, remembering the old ways. But the past was not so easily escaped. One morning, foraging for berries, he saw them, a patrol of pillagers, their menacing banners flapping in the breeze, tramping through a distant valley. They were searching for survivors, searching for him. His was a sharp intake of breath, a warning. He dropped to his belly, melting into the tall grass. He knew he couldn't stay. The wilderness was vast, but his pursuers were relentless. He traveled eastward for days, avoiding open plains, sticking to dense forests and winding ravines. He saw an Enderman once, standing silently in the distance, its form shimmering in the twilight. He averted his gaze, sensing the ancient, inscrutable power radiating from it. The Enderman, unprovoked, eventually teleported away, leaving only a lingering sense of unease. His journey eventually led him to a towering mountain range, its peaks shrouded in clouds. He climbed, his newfound tools aiding his ascent. The air grew thin and cold. From the summit, he saw it. A strange, purple, swirling vortex nestled in a crag. A ruined portal. He had heard tales of such things, of gateways to other dimensions. Fear warred with a desperate curiosity. If he could cross, perhaps he could truly escape. He studied the portal, mimicking the repairs he'd seen players perform. He found obsidian scattered around, and with his iron pickaxe, he mined more. He gathered flint and steel, striking it against the obsidian frame. With a shimmering flash and a guttural hum, the portal roared to life. His was one of awe and terror. He took a deep breath, clutched his crude iron sword, and stepped through the shimmering veil. The Nether assaulted his senses, a sky of perpetual crimson, the ground an alien landscape of jagged netherrack and glowing crimson fungi. The air was hot, sulphurous. Ghasts wailed in the distance, their ghostly forms drifting through the hellish skies. He crouched, overwhelmed. He was an alien here, a soft creature in a hard world. He saw piglins, their snouts twitching, guarding their hordes. He knew to avoid eye contact, to move slowly. He had to move. He saw a warped forest, its blue fungi and glowing vines offering a strange, ethereal sanctuary. He navigated its treacherous paths, avoiding lava flows, his senses heightened. He was no longer just a villager, but a ghost, a shadow, a survivor in a dimension not meant for his kind. He found a long, winding tunnel, dark and cool, away from the roaring gas and the wary piglins. He followed it, his only guide, the faint shimmering light of ancient glowing lichen. After what felt like an eternity, the tunnel opened into a large cavern, and there, surprisingly, was another portal. This one, fully intact, humming with the familiar purple energy. He didn't question it. He simply stepped through, back into the overworld, blinking in the harsh light of a familiar sun. He was in a vast, sprawling plains biome, far, far from his ruined home. He breathed deeply, the crisp air a welcome relief. He saw in the distance a small settlement, a new village, a collection of humble wooden homes, fields of growing crops, the cheerful of familiar villagers drifting on the wind. A profound weariness settled over him. He could go there. He could try to fit in, to forget. But as he looked at his rough-hewn iron sword, at the calluses on his hands, at the determined glint in his eyes, he realized he wasn't that villager anymore. He'd seen too much, endured too much. He had learned the language of survival, the quiet wisdom of the wild. Just then, from the direction of the new village, he heard it again. The chilling blast of a pillager horn. His blood ran cold, then hot. Not again. Not while he was near. He didn't run towards the village. He ran around it. A wide, sweeping arc through the tall grass, his movements silent and swift. He circled to the forest bordering the village, finding higher ground. He saw the pillager patrol emerge, their crossbows raised, a single ravager lumbering behind them. His was not fear, but a low, guttural growl of defiance. He clutched his iron sword, the crude blade glinting in the afternoon sun. He had found his purpose, not to be the last villager, hiding in fear, but to be the unyielding protector, the unseen guardian. He was no longer just a farmer. He was a survivor, a warrior of the wild, and he would not let this new village suffer the same fate as his own. He faded into the trees, a ghost in the leaves, ready to fight for a peace that was no longer his own, but one he now understood was worth everything.